There's a particular kind of frustration that comes with a muscle cramp. It's sharp, sudden, and stops you right in your tracks, often just when you are beginning to feel good during a workout. Whether it's a stabbing pain in your calf, mid-run, a tight pull in your side during yoga, or that aching spasm in your hamstring during a stretch, cramps can feel like your body is betraying you in its moment of strength. And yet, the truth is more subtle. Cramps aren't the enemy, they're a signal. They're your body's way of whispering or yelling that something isn't quite right, but most of us don't listen until it's too late. We push harder, breathe shorter, and assume pain is just part of the process. In reality, some of the most common causes of cramps during exercise are linked not to overexertion, but to a few simple mistakes we make, often without even realizing it. This article gently unpacks 5 key mistakes that make your body more vulnerable to cramping. They're not complicated. In fact, that's the problem. They're so common, so subtle, they're easy to overlook. But if you've ever asked yourself, why does this keep happening to me? As you reach for that cramped muscle, the answers may lie in the quiet spaces between your routines. Let's take a closer, more compassionate look at these missteps and how you can adjust them to move more freely, more safely, and with fewer interruptions from pain. Skipping hydration. Underestimating the power of water, it begins so quietly. A morning jog, a set of light weights, maybe a yoga flow in the living room. You didn't sweat that much, you didn't feel thirsty, so you didn't drink much water. And you moved on with your day, not realizing that a seed had been planted, the kind that would grow into a sharp, biting cramp hours later. The truth is, dehydration rarely announces itself with blaring alarms. It slips in silently, like mist beneath a door. A dry mouth here, a slight fatigue there, maybe a moment of dizziness you brush off. You tell yourself you're just tired, or hungry, or sore, but often what you're really feeling is your body's quiet yearning for water. Cramps and the quiet role of hydration. Muscle cramps often feel like sudden explosive pain, but they are in many ways the result of accumulation, tiny imbalances building over time. One of the most underestimated factors behind these spasms is dehydration. When you move, your muscles contract and release in a delicate, orchestrated rhythm. That rhythm relies on electrolytes, minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, which live in the water within your cells. These minerals help transmit electrical signals from your brain to your muscles, telling them when to flex and when to rest. When you're dehydrated, that system starts to falter. Signals misfire, muscles tighten too quickly, or refuse to release. And what you experience is that familiar jolt of pain, the cramp that hijacks your flow. The myth of thirst as a reliable signal. Many people believe they'll drink water when they're thirsty, but by the time you feel thirsty, you're already mildly dehydrated. Your body has been compensating quietly, pulling water from other areas, slowing digestion, rerouting blood flow, just to keep you functioning. This is especially important during exercise. As you move, your body uses water to regulate temperature, deliver nutrients, and flush out waste. Even if you're not drenched in sweat, your internal systems are working overtime, and their need for hydration rises long before your mouth feels dry. The subtle signs of dehydration. Think of your body as a garden. Before the soil cracks and dries, it first loses richness. The color fades, the surface becomes tight, and only later do the plants begin to wilt. Similarly, dehydration sends early warnings, but they're easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Look for signs like a feeling of tightness or stiffness in your muscles, a mild headache or sense of heaviness behind the eyes, lightheadedness when standing up quickly, less frequent urination, or darker urine fatigue that doesn't match your exertion level. Cramps are usually not the first sign, they're one of the last. Hydration isn't just water. Water is essential. But hydration is also about balance. Your body doesn't just need H2O, it needs the minerals suspended in it. These electrolytes are what keep your muscles communicating, your nerves firing, and your cells absorbing fluid. If you drink too much plain water and sweat a lot during workouts, you may dilute your electrolyte levels, especially sodium. That's why athletes sometimes experience cramps, even when they think they're hydrating properly. The solution isn't always more water. Sometimes it's better hydration, water with electrolytes, coconut water, a pinch of sea salt in lemon water or an electrolyte supplement can make a world of difference. Practical guidance how to hydrate smartly. You don't need to obsessively count ounces or carry gallon jugs around. A gentle rhythm of hydration can support your workouts and your well-being. Here's a simple guide. Before exercise, drink a glass, 250-500 ml of water, 30-60 minutes before starting. If you've had coffee or alcohol recently, add a little extra. During exercise, sip water every 15-20 minutes, especially in hot or dry environments. For workouts over 60 minutes, consider an electrolyte drink. After exercise, replenish what you lost. Water, herbal teas, or foods with high water content, like watermelon, cucumber, or oranges, help restore balance. Listen to your body. If you feel a slight ache or tightness in your muscles, don't just stretch. Ask yourself, have I had enough water today? Hydration is an act of respect in a culture obsessed with pushing through. Drinking water might seem like a small thing, but it's not. It's a gesture of care, a sign that you're willing to listen to the quiet needs of your body, not just the loud ambitions of your mind. To hydrate isn't just to prevent cramps. It's to flow better, to move with more ease, to give your body what it needs to support you, and not just now, but years from now. You don't have to chase perfection. Just be consistent. A little more awareness, a little more water, and a little more softness in the way you train, and your muscles will thank you. 2. Neglecting warm-ups and cool-downs, rushing the rituals. There's a quiet impatience that lives in many of us, especially when it comes to movement. We want to jump in, to get started, to feel the burn, the stretch, the flow. We tell ourselves we're short on time, or that we'll warm up as we go. We finish a workout and rush back into our day, skipping the cool-down because life won't wait. But the body, unlike the mind, moves at a different pace. It's not in a hurry. It remembers. And when we skip the beginning or rush the ending, it stores that neglect in tightness, imbalance, and pain. Over time, one of the most common consequences of this rushed rhythm is the muscle cramp. The wisdom of rituals, warm-ups and cool-downs are not extra. They are essential. They are your body's way of preparing for and releasing from effort. To warm up is to awaken. Muscles are like soft clay, stiff and unyielding when cold, but pliable when heated gently. A good warm-up increases blood flow, raises muscle temperature, and opens the joints. It's not just about stretching, and it's about communication. Telling your muscles, tendons, and nervous system, we're about to move, let's prepare together. To cool down is to come home. After movement, your heart is racing, your breath is elevated, and your muscles are flooded with lactic acid and heat. A cool down helps guide your body back to a state of calm. It prevents blood from pooling in the limbs, eases the nervous system, and lowers the risk of cramps that often strike after you've stopped moving. Skipping these two rituals is like entering and exiting a story without context. You miss the meaning. And your body notices. The science behind the stretch. When you begin exercise with tight, unprepared muscles, you're forcing them to respond before they're ready. The result? Erratic contractions, poor coordination, and an increased likelihood of spasms. Similarly, when you end your workout abruptly, your muscles remain in a shortened, activated state. If you don't give them time to lengthen and relax gradually, they can seize up, often during the most inconvenient times, like in the car, in bed, or while sitting still. A cramp isn't just a result of exertion. It's a sign that the transition from rest to effort or effort back to rest was too sudden. The modern mistake, too busy to breathe today's world, glorifies speed. Short workouts, quick results, efficiency. We measure our success in calories burned or minutes completed. The slower parts, the gentle breathing, the mindful stretches, the quiet cool-downs, get discarded. They don't feel productive, but they are. In fact, they may be the most productive part of your routine because they're where your body finds balance, recovery, and integration. Ask anyone who's ever suffered a hamstring cramp in the middle of the night after a hard run with no cool-down. or the yoga student who pulled a muscle by diving into deep poses without warming up. These moments of pain are the body's way of saying, you forgot something. A gentle warm-up. How to begin. You don't need a complex routine. Just a few minutes of thoughtful movement can make all the difference. Here's a simple guide. Start with the breath. Inhale deeply, slowly. Let your body know you're shifting gears. Mobilize your joints. Roll your shoulders. Circle your hips. Flex your ankles. Engage the core. A few gentle twists or pelvic tilts help awaken stability. Activate your muscles. Do dynamic stretches, leg swings, arm circles, walking lunges. Gradually increase intensity. Ease into your workout instead of launching into it. Even 5 minutes of this kind of care can prevent the tightness and spasms that lead to cramps. A mindful cool down. How to end when you finish your movement. Resist the urge to stop suddenly. Think of it as a soft landing. Slow your pace. Whether you're walking, cycling, or lifting, taper your intensity. Stretch with breath. Target the muscles you use the most. Hold each stretch gently for 20 to 30 seconds. Breathe deeply. Exhale. Longer than you inhale. This calms your nervous system. Hydrate. This is the moment your muscles are reabsorbing water and nutrients. Reflect. Notice how your body feels. Appreciate the effort it gave you. The cool down isn't just physical. It's emotional. It helps you integrate your effort and leave the session with presence, not pain. Movement as a conversation. Think of your workout as a conversation with your body. You don't just shout and leave. You say hello, you build trust, and you end with kindness. Warm-ups and cool-downs aren't about being perfect. They're about being respectful. When you honor your body's need for gentle beginnings and graceful endings, it will reward you with fewer cramps, less injury, and a deeper sense of connection. You don't need more time. You need more intention. A few mindful minutes, added to the start and end of your routine, can transform the way your body responds to exercise, not just today, but for years to come. 3. Poor nutrition. Before or after exercise. Fueling failure. Some days it's an empty stomach and an early start. Other days it's a rushed workout squeezed between meetings, with no time to think about what came before or after. You move. Your body. Burn energy, maybe sweat a little, but you forget to feed the very machine that made it all possible. It's easy to overlook the role of nutrition in preventing muscle cramps. After all, we associate cramps with movement, not meals. But what you eat or don't eat, before and after exercise, shapes the way your muscles contract, recover, and protect themselves from sudden spasms. Food is not just fuel. It's a quiet language of support. And when we ignore it, the body eventually speaks up, often through cramping. Your muscles don't run on empty. Every time you lift a weight, take a step, or reach into a yoga pose, your muscles rely on energy stored in the form of glycogen. That energy doesn't appear magically. It's made from the food you eat. When you train on an empty stomach, or after a long period without eating, your muscles start to draw from reserves. But once those are depleted, things begin to unravel. Your muscles don't receive the glucose they need. Your nervous system starts to misfire. And electrolytes, the essential minerals that coordinate muscle contractions, fall out of balance. The result? Spasms, twitches, and cramps that seem to come from nowhere. It's not a matter of willpower. It's chemistry, the micronutrients you're probably missing. We hear a lot about calories and protein. But when it comes to cramps, it's the quiet minerals, and often overlooked, that make the biggest difference. Let's meet them. Potassium helps regulate fluid balance and muscle contractions, found in bananas, sweet potatoes, spinach. Avocados. Magnesium plays a role in over 300 biochemical reactions, including relaxing muscles after contraction. Found in almonds, dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, leafy greens. Calcium, essential for triggering muscle contractions and nerve function. Found in yogurt, cheese, sardines, leafy greens. Sodium, critical for nerve impulses and water retention during sweat. Found in sea salt, broth, electrolyte. Drinks, especially during heavy sweating. When these minerals are lacking, or when you lose too many through sweat, your muscles struggle to maintain their rhythm. The consequence often isn't fatigue, it's cramping. A common mistake: fasting plus. Intense workouts, intermittent fasting has gained popularity, and in some cases, it can offer real health benefits. But pairing intense physical activity with fasting windows, especially without a thoughtful approach, can set the stage for cramps. Why? Because glycogen stores are already low. Electrolyte intake is often reduced. Hydration is unintentionally neglected. Recovery nutrients are delayed. If you're fasting, it's even more essential to be deliberate with your nutrient timing. A body that's low on fuel becomes a body that malfunctions under stress. What to eat before a workout? You don't need a full meal. In fact, eating too heavily right before a workout can cause discomfort. But offering your body a little support 30–90 minutes before movement can make a big difference. Gentle pre-workout options: a banana with almond butter Greek yogurt with a few berries, a small oatmeal bowl with chia seeds, a smoothie with spinach, fruit and a pinch of sea salt, whole grain toast with avocado focus on complex carbs for slow energy release, a little healthy fat and easy to digest nutrients. If your workout is early morning, even half a banana can go a long way. What to eat? After a workout, post-workout is the body's recovery window, a time when muscles are more absorbent and repair begins. Ideal combinations include protein, pulse carbs, grilled chicken with quinoa, and steamed green smoothie with protein powder, banana, cocoa, and peanut butter scrambled eggs with sweet potato, a tofu stir-fry with rice and colorful veggies, cottage cheese with pineapple and walnuts. Don't fear salt. A bit of sodium can help replenish what was lost in sweat, especially in hot weather, or after long cardio sessions. Food is memory. Your muscles remember how you treat them. They store not just movement but nourishment, or the lack of it. Cramps aren't always caused by pushing too hard. Sometimes they're whispers of neglect, a reminder that the systems responsible for effort also require care. You wouldn't drive across the country without fueling your car. Why move your body without fueling it first? The next time you feel that sudden tightness in your calf, or the jolt of a hamstring cramp in the middle of the night, pause and ask, did I give my muscles what they needed today? The gentle art of nutritional awareness. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to count grams or track macros, but bringing just a little more attention to how you nourish yourself, especially around movement, can change everything. It's not about eating more. It's about eating wisely, thoughtfully, softly, in tune with the rhythm of your life and the needs of your body, because every movement you make is powered by what you've put inside. And when you choose to care, you give your muscles the memory of being supported, not just pushed. 4. Overtraining. When more doesn't mean better, there's a subtle danger in discipline. It whispers in the early morning runs that never miss a day. It hides in the back-to-back gym sessions, the double classes, the no pain, no gain mentality. To the outside world, it looks like strength, commitment, willpower, but inside the body, it's a storm quietly brewing. Overtraining isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the feeling of fatigue that won't go away, the tightness that lingers, the soreness that turns to stiffness, and the stiffness that becomes a cramp in the night. Because when you push the body beyond what it can repair, even with the best intentions, it begins to push back. The delicate balance of effort and recovery, exercise, is a stressor. A healthy one, when balanced. When you train, you break. Down muscle fibers, challenge the nervous system, and temporarily deplete energy stores. That's not a bad thing, it's part of the process. But the real magic, the transformation, the growth, the resilience, doesn't happen during the workout. It happens during recovery, and here lies the problem. Many people keep training harder, thinking more is better, but the body isn't a machine, it's an ecosystem. And ecosystems need time to regenerate. Without adequate rest, your muscles become perpetually inflamed. Your nervous system stays on high alert. Hormonal imbalances creep in and muscles begin to misfire. The end result? Increased risk of injury, slower progress, and yes, more frequent cramps. Why overtraining triggers cramps are often seen as a hydration or electrolyte issue, and sometimes they are. But overtraining adds a different dimension. It interferes with the body's natural repair mechanisms. Here's how: neuromuscular fatigue. As your central nervous system tires, it sends erratic signals to your muscles. This increases involuntary contractions, the perfect breeding ground for spasms and cramps, tight fascia and muscle stiffness. Overworked muscles lose their elasticity. They don't glide. They don't relax. This rigidity sets the stage for sudden, painful contractions. Inflammation. Chronic overtraining creates low-grade inflammation in the muscles. This irritates nerve endings and increases the likelihood of cramps, especially during sleep or rest. Poor sleep and hormone disruption. Overtraining often disrupts sleep, reducing deep rest and the release of growth hormone, both critical for muscle repair and electrolyte regulation. The silent signals of overtraining. Your body often tells you when it's had enough, but not always in words. Here are signs to listen for: persistent muscle soreness that doesn't improve with rest-sleep disturbances, vivid dreams, or waking up exhausted, elevated resting heart rate in the morning, a sudden decrease in performance or motivation, mood swings, irritability or anxiety, increased frequency of cramps, especially at night or during light activity. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signals of imbalance, the culture of never enough. We live in a world that celebrates hustle, that applauds pushing limits, that glorifies the grind, and while resilience is beautiful, so is rest. Somewhere along the way we were taught that stopping is quitting, but in truth resting is what allows growth. Muscles don't just need movement, they need stillness, they need nourishment, they need days off. Think of overtraining like driving with the gas, pedal down and no brakes. Sooner or later something gives. How to train without tipping over. If you want to avoid cramps caused by overtraining, consider these gentle practices. Follow a weekly rhythm. Alternate hard days with light ones. Include at least one full rest day per week. Prioritize sleep. 7 to 9 hours per night is non-negotiable for muscle repair. Listen to soreness. It's a message. Don't ignore it. Stay hydrated and eat well. Overtraining burns through nutrients faster. You need to replenish more often. Integrate restorative movement. Yoga, walking, Tai Chi. These aren't lesser workouts. They are the glue. Between intense sessions, track heart rate variability, HRV. Tools like Oura, Whoop, or even smartwatches can reveal hidden fatigue. A softer kind of strength. The strongest bodies aren't the ones that never break. They're the ones that know how to recover, how to bend without snapping. There's wisdom in slowing down. There's strength in saying, not today. There's growth in choosing rest over repetition. If you've been struggling with cramps and haven't found an answer in hydration or stretching, ask yourself, am I giving my body enough time to heal? Muscle cramps don't always mean you're weak. Sometimes they mean you've been too strong for too long, without pause. Your body is not a machine. It's not here to be maximized. It's here to be lived in, felt, honored. And sometimes that means stepping back. Not forever, just long enough for the body to breathe, to rebuild, and to thank you in the quietest way, through ease, flow, and peace. 5. Improper form and body mechanics. Moving against your own design. Not all pain is loud. Some begins with a slight pull, a quiet tightening, a subtle misalignment that goes unnoticed, until it doesn't. One small angle off in your squat, a slight twist in your posture on the treadmill, a repetitive motion done incorrectly again and again. This is the silent sabotage of poor form. The body, when moved in ways that go against its natural design, responds first with fatigue, then tension, then cramps. It's not punishment, it's a signal. And like all signals the body sends, the sooner we listen, the better we live. Form is more than aesthetic. It's functional. Good form isn't about looking good in a mirror. It's about integrity, alignment. It's about stacking joints properly, so that muscles can activate and relax in harmony. When your movements are clean, energy flows efficiently. Muscles share the workload. No one area is overloaded. But poor form, even in small doses, puts strain on the wrong tissues. A poorly aligned knee in a lunge can stress the calf. A rounded back in a deadlift can tighten the hamstrings. An overarched spine in a plank can cause the lower back to spasm. Cramps don't just come from overuse. They often come from misuse, the chain reaction of misalignment. Your body moves as a connected system, a chain of joints, muscles, fascia, and nerves. When one part is out of alignment, the compensation begins elsewhere. Consider, tight hips lead to overworked hamstrings. Flat feet can cause tension in the calves and Achilles. Slouched shoulders force the neck and upper back to grip unnecessarily. Poor core engagement puts pressure on the lower back, leading to spasms and cramping. One weak link in the chain affects everything down the line. Repetitive strain, cramps from doing it wrong. Again and again. It's not always heavy lifting or intense cardio that causes cramps. Sometimes it's simply repeating an incorrect movement over and over. Think of running with poor stride mechanics, cycling with a misaligned seat height, doing planks with sagging hips, performing push-ups without shoulder stability, lifting weights, without engaging the core. Each time you move this way, the body compensates. And eventually it protests, through cramps, tightness, or even injury. Small corrections, big changes. Improving your form doesn't require perfection. It starts with awareness, with choosing mindfulness over momentum. Some simple shifts. Warm. Up intentionally. Wake up your stabilizing muscles, glutes, core, shoulders, before demanding more from them. Use mirrors or videos. Watch your movements. Self-correct with kindness, not judgment. Go slower. Control reveals weakness. Speed hides it. Work with a coach or trainer. Even one session can highlight patterns you can't see on your own. Strengthen what's weak. Don't. Just stretch the tight areas. Support them with stronger surrounding muscles. Include mobility work. A body that moves well is a body that resists cramps. Pain is not a sign of progress. We've normalized discomfort. Feel the burn, they say. Push through. But cramps caused by poor form are not the sign of a good workout. They're the sign of your body saying, and something isn't right. Learning to move with alignment, with respect for your own structure, isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the kind of training that lasts a lifetime. Your body remembers how. You treat it muscles have memory, not just of effort, but of motion, of how you move when no one's watching, of whether you honor your own design or ignore it. If you've been struggling with cramps that seem to arise randomly, take a moment to reflect. Am I moving in a way that supports my body's natural flow? Because often cramps are not just about hydration or nutrition or rest. They are about movement gone slightly wrong and repeated until the body has no choice but to speak up. Move with care and the body will respond with grace. You don't need to move more. You need to move better. The goal isn't perfect form, it's functional form, form that honors your unique shape, structure, and limitations. When you move in alignment, your muscles stop fighting you. They work with you, fluidly, efficiently, quietly. And in that quiet, the cramps begin to disappear. Conclusion. Listening to the language of the body muscle cramps are not just a nuisance. They're not simply a sign of dehydration or a random act of nature. They are messages, warnings, whispered in tension, in tightness, in sudden spasms that bring us to stillness. They are the body's way of saying, please, pay attention. When we examine the roots, the real layered causes, we begin to see a picture emerge, one that reveals not just physical imbalance, but a deeper truth about how we live, how we move, how we listen to ourselves. We cramp when we disconnect. When? We drink less water and ignore the thirst beneath the surface, when we stretch less and demand more of muscles that never unwind, when we eat without nourishment, chasing calories instead of care, when we overtrain, mistaking noise for progress, when we move with poor form over and over until the body protests. Each of these habits, small on their own, creates tension. not just in the muscles but in the very rhythm of how we relate to our physical selves. And so cramps become not just a bodily reaction, but a mirror showing us how easy it is to push, to rush, to punish a body that only wants to carry us well. You are not separate from your body. It sounds obvious, but in practice many of us live as though our body is a tool, a machine to be tuned, a shell to be sculpted, a vessel to be fixed. But your body is not a thing. It is a presence. It remembers what you forget, the sleepless nights, the skipped meals, the stress unspoken. It holds what your mind lets go of, and when something isn't right, it speaks, not with words but with signals, tightness, soreness, cramps. To heal cramps, we must do more than treat symptoms. We must rebuild a relationship with the self, one movement, one breath, one small act of care at a time. Return to simplicity. You don't need complicated routines. You don't need the most advanced supplements or the hardest workouts. You need to come back to the basics. Water that quenches food, that nourishes, movement that flows, rest that restores, awareness that listens. From that space, healing begins. Not just from cramps, but from the burnout, the disconnect, the ache that lives beneath the surface. Make space for quiet. Sometimes cramps show up when we ignore the whispers. They arrive in the silence of night, in the middle of a workout or in stillness, forcing us to stop, to breathe, to listen. And perhaps that's their gift. A cramp is not just a contraction. It's an invitation to soften, to slow, to ask, what part of me have I been ignoring? A gentle invitation, so today let this be your reminder. You don't need to push harder. You don't need to chase more. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to return to the breath, to the body, to the wisdom that has always lived inside you. Because healing from cramps is not just about fixing a problem. It's about remembering how to care for yourself, deeply, kindly, and fully. And in that care, the body finds its balance again.